Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being with us on a Sunday morning. And now we are beginning with our first session for the day about does Scrum have too many meetings with Fadli. He's an enterprise agile coach at Bank of Singapore, and we are excited to know what he has got in this session for us. So, welcome, Fadli. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good morning, everyone. Very good morning. I hope that you had your breakfast. So if you're having your breakfast now, feel free to have it now. Okay, so you don't have to rush it. Just enjoy your breakfast. So I did my breakfast earlier, so it's good to have everyone here. So now I hope that everyone can see my screen. So in my screen, I'm actually sharing a Menti. Okay, so I would like everyone to scan this QR code, and then you can use your phone to scan the QR code, or you can, if you're using a laptop to watch this, you can type menti.com, and then when you type the menti.com, key in the code of X670825. Okay. So anyone, I hope that you have able to access the link. Before further ado, what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to go to the next slide. Just give me a moment, please. Okay, hold on. I'll go back to the Menti. So we have the data here. So we have so far, okay, everyone says that great, inspire, excited. We have only 4 people. What about others? We have 10 people here in this room, including myself, I believe. So let's go to the menti.com, type this code X670825. Okay, so I can copy the link and then I can put in the chat also. Okay, in case you want to click on the link, you can click on the chat. All right, how are you doing today? Yes, attending the session. Yep, that's good. That's a good one. And what I'm doing today, I'm actually here with you guys. So yeah, let's everyone please go to menti.com, give your inspiration, how you're feeling today. Just let us know. I give you guys 1 minute before we go to the next slide. So if you haven't gone to the Menti, please go into menti.com. Just type the code X670825. Okay, so type menti.com, and then after you type menti.com, type the code X670825. Wow, someone is sleepy. Okay, don't worry. You will have a time later in the afternoon to sleep after this. So this is a good time for us to have conversations and learn from each other. All right, wonderful. So you have about 20 seconds more. So we have 12 people in the room. So for those of you who haven't submit your Menti feedback, please go to menti.com and then type X670825. Okay, you can see on the screen here on top. And okay, voting is closed. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so what do you do? So let us know, what do you do? Okay, so you have an option there. Choose the option. If you're a change consultant, if you're a Scrum Master, Agile coach, if you're a product owner or product manager, choose the product management. Okay, so choose that and then give your feedback. So at least I know roughly who are my audience. What is the composition of my audience? So I can tailor the content of my speaking accordingly. All right. Okay, so please give your feedback. Let us know who you are. Okay, wonderful. That's great. That's great. Okay, who else? We have only seven data here. Let's have more data in. Okay, please let us know how many. Okay, all right. Wonderful. We have 9. So we have people, quite a number of people not fall under Scrum Master, Program Management, Change Consultant. Okay, wonderful. It's great. So let's put a timer for this. Let's put a 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. Let us know who you are. Okay, let us know who you are. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So for those of you who haven't got the chance to menti.com, it's very simple. You can just click on the link that I shared earlier. Okay. I hope you have able to access the Menti. It's supposed to be publicly accessible unless you may be behind a firewall. So the firewall maybe doesn't allow you to connect to Menti. It is possible, but if you're at home now and you're not behind any firewall, you should be able to access Menti directly. All right, that's great. That's great. So we have 9 seconds more, 9 seconds left, 6 seconds before we move on to the next slide. All right, wonderful. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay. Does Scrum have too many meetings? Nah, I want to hear from you guys about these simple questions. Does it have too many meetings? Is it yes? Is it no? I have no idea. Okay, see the dots are flying. The dots are flying. Come, come. Those who haven't put the dots, please let them fly. Okay, so I'll put 1 minute also here. Okay, those of you who haven't, please go to menti.com. I'm going to copy the link again, put in the chat. Okay, I'll put in the chat. Okay, and I like the idea from Rakesh. I'm change enthusiast. Nice. I should put that next time. Change enthusiast. Wonderful. That's great. So I put the link again in the chat. In case you don't know how to access Menti, you can click on the link. Or if you are using your phone, you can just type menti.com and then type the code X670825. Okay, so we have only 9 people. Okay, so others also, please feel free to give your feedback. How do you think about Scrum? Does it have too many meetings? All right, so we have 10 people already submitted. Okay, so majority says no. Okay, majority says no. Okay, wonderful. Now let's move on to the next slide. How many meetings you have in a week on average? 1 week, not 1 month. 1 week. Wow. Someone say in 1 week I have almost 20 meetings or even 20 meetings, 10 to 20 meetings. Wow, you must be super busy guy. Super, extremely busy. All right, so we have
But
majority
it
says five.
happens when
Yes.
you are managing multiple teams, so it happens sometimes.
Oh yes, Drew. It's possible. Correct, correct. Okay. Wow, more than 20 meetings in a week. Oh my God. Do you have time to sleep or not? I really hope you have time to sleep and at least you have time to go for breakfast or dinner. All right. Okay, let's see who else haven't put. Okay, I'll just put 30 seconds here this time around. How many meetings you have in a week on average? So who else haven't? If you haven't, go to menti.com, just type X670825. All right. Okay, so we have 10 more seconds left. Okay, wonderful. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, what do you hate about your current meetings? What you don't like about your current meetings? What do you hate about your current meetings? Let us know. Okay, what do you hate about them? Let us know. Think about it. I give you guys this time around 2 minutes. Too long, too much discussion. Okay. Okay, 2 minutes. Too much discussion. What else? What else? What about others? We have only one participant submitted. What about others? What you don't like about your current meetings? What else? Lengthy, yeah, okay. Boring. Not interesting. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, no solutions. Wow, that's a wasting time. That's a time waster. Wow, time waster. Wow, nice. Sometimes no solution. Yeah, it is possible that when you have a meeting, you just come and then people are talking, but then there is no solution at all. That's really not good, right? It's like you're wasting people's time just asking them to come, and boring. Wow, boring. It's really it's really not good, because if you don't know how to facilitate a good meeting, a good session, then the meeting will be boring. And it's very common. Boring is one of the most common situations in meeting. Not right people. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. We didn't invite the right people. That's possible. That's also one of the problem with meeting, because the decision makers that's supposed to be in the meeting are not there, right? You are inviting people, but you don't invite the right people into the meeting. At the end of the day, no solutions, right? There's no solutions because you don't invite the right people. And too much discussion is because people are just talking, but then they don't focus, right? They go ahead, they go haywire. All right, nice. Let's move on to the next one. How long is your daily scrum? One simple question. If you don't do daily scrum, it's fine. You can just say, I don't have one. But if you're using Scrum, I would like to know, how long is your daily Scrum now? Is it less than 15 minutes? Is it 1 hour? Is it very long? Very long means more than 1 hour. So let us know. Let me know how long is your daily Scrum? Okay, let's put a timer here. Let's put a timer. How long is your daily Scrum? Let's put a timer of 1 minute. This is a simple question. Very long, my God. Very long. Feel like eternity, right? Feel like eternity, and it's like forever. Oh my God. Wow, we have few people less than 50 minutes. Amazing, amazing. Majority says it's about 15 to 30 minutes. All right, that's quite common. Oh, okay. Someone says between 30 to 45 minutes. That's a long one. That's a long one, especially if you have to do it every day. Wow, I think that would be tough. If I'm one of the engineer or one of the developer, I think I won't come to the daily scrum. It's too long because it's every day anyway. So I don't like it. I mean, this is my personal preference because it's every day. If it's like once in a week, 30 to 40 minutes, maybe I can take it. But every day? I don't think so. All right. So majority says that we have between 15 to 30 minutes. All right. That's good. Okay. Now, are you ready to dive in? So give us your thumbs up. Let me know if everyone is ready. Thumbs up or laugh, and then we'll start the session now. So we have 16 people, including myself. All right, so looks like everyone is ready. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to switch my screen. Okay, then I'm going to make it full screen. I will introduce a bit of myself. Okay, so again, for those of you who just joined, thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate for being here. This is a Sunday morning. I believe some of you maybe are still very tired. I know some of you say that still sleepy. Yeah, that's very common. So I can totally understand that. But I really appreciate that you are here because you have the willingness of coming into the session, and then you have the willingness to learn from each other. All right. I'm not the expert in this area, so I also like to have conversations with everyone. So let me share a bit about myself. So first of all, if you want to connect with me, you can see the what you call the Let's Connect scan me here, the QR code next to my face. You can scan the QR code here, then you will connect to with me in LinkedIn. Okay. So a bit of myself. So I'm actually enterprise agile coach and a certified expert in enterprise coaching from IC Agile. So I'm also one of the personal agility recognized ambassador in Southeast Asia, the first one in Singapore. I've done basically I've started exposed to agile back in 2001. So that was like 21 years ago. I was using extreme programming. So it was not Scrum, it was extreme programming. So I'm actually actively also be involved in community events like this, and I'm one of the candidate for Scrum Inc. Trainer, professional trainer. Okay, so in my spare time, I'm an audiophile. Okay, I like to listen to the music. If you see on the bottom right picture, I like to listen to the music. So if you like listen to the music and you're also an audiophile, let's connect in LinkedIn. We have lots of things we can catch up. In case you come to Singapore, we have a Ken Jam in Singapore usually, right? Where people audiophiles coming together and then listen to this audio stuff. All right. Okay. So enough about me. So let's talk about this topic. Does Scrum have too many meetings? Now, there are many framework out there for organizations and teams to adopt agility. Okay, there are many frameworks. Scrum is just one of them. And I would say Scrum is the simplest, one of the simplest framework out there that the team can start using. All right. Now, however, the challenge that I actually hear from others is that many people say that Scrum have too many meetings. All right. They say too many meetings. So multiple times I've been asked this question in every organization I went, every organization I coach. They always say, "Hey, how come Scrum have too many meetings?" So let's talk about that now. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. So I'm sure some of you, when you're doing your daily Scrum, you might. This is quite standard. You might have seen this. Okay, that I'm just doing what I'm doing yesterday. I'm just continue what I'm doing yesterday. It's the same thing over and over again. All right. And yeah, this one. So a few statistics about meetings. Okay, number one statistics on the top left. If you see on my screen on the top left, in meetings, employees have usually 39% is daydream. They don't really focus on the meeting, and quite shockingly, 91% could be slept because especially when you do remote meeting, right? Remote meeting, people you don't know whether you because you're turning off your camera. We don't know, right? And then you might be multitasking. Okay, I myself is also guilty of that. Sometimes when I was invited to a meeting, in between when people are actually talking about certain thing and when you're doing it remotely, like this for example, I'm multitasking. I'm actually reading an email, or doing something else, doing my document, whatever it is. So 96% miss out the meetings. People don't come, didn't turn up, and then the 57% poor attendance. Okay, so another biggest meeting irritations of you see, if you see on the bottom right here, is that many people are actually taking phone calls or sending texts. People arriving late. This is quite common. Interrupting others. This one is very common. Okay, in many organizations I've worked with, some people are actually dominating the conversation and just interrupting others. Okay, which is not good. Because when you dominate other people in conversation, you don't wait until they finish their sentences, which is not good. Okay, your calendar have so many things to be done. So you have problems with meetings if you are under this criteria. So you have too many of them. Your meeting is too mechanical oriented here. Like you see these two robots, right? It's very mechanical. You just want to meet only, no purpose, just to tick the box, etc., etc. And lack of interactions, right? Everyone only listens. So one person only talk, the rest are listens. Okay, and not focus, not focus because when someone is talking, they go to different topic, instead of sticking with the agenda. So if you don't have a clear agenda, if you don't have a strong facilitator, then your meeting will not be focused. And too long, of course. I saw the feedback earlier. Many people say that the meeting is too long. Okay, people lose interest. They don't like it because it's too long. Now let's talk about Scrum and meeting. All right. So if you open the Scrum guide, okay, if any of you have a Scrum guide in front of you now, okay, you can open it online also. They don't use the Scrum guide doesn't use the word meetings. It uses the word event. Okay, it doesn't say Scrum meetings. They should say events. Okay, you see here in the Scrum guide, this is a screenshot of the Scrum guide. On the left side here, you see that the one I put in the red box, they call it Scrum events. They don't call it Scrum meetings. Okay, now, what does it mean actually? What's the difference between meeting and event? So if you do a simple Google search, right? Okay, if you do a simple Google search, what is the meaning of meeting? Okay, the meaning of meeting here is an act or process of coming together. That's it. So meeting means you come together. That's it. But Scrum Guide doesn't use the word meeting. It uses the word event, which means anything that takes place or happening that is important. Okay, so this is different. So coming together doesn't mean it has to be important. Okay, you can go for your drinks with your friend. It's a meeting. Okay, maybe some people say it's important, some people say it's not important. But at the end of the day, the Scrum Guide uses the word event because everyone needs to agree. Okay, this is the understanding from Scrum Guide. Everyone needs to agree that this event is important. That's why they use the word event. Okay, they don't use the word meeting. Now the challenge here is that maybe you as a Scrum Master, the only person in the room that thinks that this event is important, but the rest of your team member doesn't feel the same. Okay, they don't feel the same. They don't think that this is important. Why we need to have this? So that's why it's quite challenging for a Scrum Master to be able to convey the message to the rest of the group, to the rest of the team member who happens to be in the meeting, to let them know that this event is important. But what makes them important? I'm going to talk about that today in this session. What makes these events important? Because this is the reason why Scrum Masters, right, keep coming to me and ask me, hey, Fadli, I need your advice. My team member doesn't want to attend daily Scrum. My team member wants to get rid of sprint retrospective. My team member wants to get rid of sprint review, for example. Okay, so then I asked the Scrum Master, do you know what is the purpose of each of this event? Almost every one of them doesn't really understand. So if you yourself doesn't understand the purpose of each event, then it will be difficult for you to convey the same understanding with others of your team. Okay, so as a facilitator, it's very important for you to know the purpose of each of the event. Now, if you do a search in the Scrum Guide, you look for the word meeting, right? You will get two results. The first one, it says events are used in Scrum to create regularity. Regularity means happens frequently, regularly, to minimize the need for meetings. So the four event, right? Okay, sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. These four things exist to minimize the need for other meetings outside of Scrum. Okay, and the second search results also say the same thing. Daily Scrum improve communications, it identify impediments, promote quick decision making, and consequently eliminate the need for other meetings. So now, when Scrum Guide says about meetings, it's actually for the sake of eliminating them. It's not for the sake of adding them. Okay? So Scrum doesn't introduce meetings. In fact, it tries to eliminate unnecessary ones. Okay, so what something is unnecessary if it doesn't serve a purpose. So ask yourself, every time you get an invite, a meeting invite from someone, ask yourself or ask the organizer or the person who invite you, what is the purpose of this meeting? What makes it important? So understand that purpose. It's very, very important. It's not about agenda, okay? It's not about agenda. It's about purpose, okay? So we are going to talk about that very soon for each of the Scrum event. Now, this is based on the feedback I received in the past, okay? In the past, like 8 years when I started coaching teams, people dislike Scrum events because of these few points. Number one, they don't know exactly their purpose, as I mentioned earlier. They don't know exactly what makes this event are important, okay? And they themselves, let's say I'm a Scrum Master, right? I'm the one sending the invite to people. I also not convinced why it is important. I'm not convinced. So okay, how can you be a Scrum Master if you yourself not convinced that this event is important? Okay. And number three, wow, this one is, I could say in my past experiences, almost 80 to 90% of Scrum Masters or anyone who facilitate the Scrum events don't really know how to run them as intended. Okay, as intended means that how it's supposed to be. Remember, they don't call it meetings, they call it event. An event needs to be a co-creation process. Okay, it's a co-creation process. It's not one person talking, it's a co-creation. Okay, and then another problem here is that, last but not least, is that even before Scrum, even before Agile comes into the picture, they already have so many meetings. So many meetings. Like, for example, when I was a traditional project manager in the past, I have a weekly meeting with my working group. I have a fortnightly with my management. I have a monthly with my steering committee. Okay, so that itself is already have so many meetings. And can you imagine that is for one project? 3 in a month, sorry, not 3, every week, so 4, and then every fortnightly 6, and then plus 1, so 7. For one project, I already have 7 meetings in a month for one project. If I have 5 projects, 7 times 5, I already have 35 meetings in a month. 35 meetings in a month for 5 projects. Now, imagine if I have to add, if I have to use Scrum, I change one of this project from traditional become Scrum, then becomes a lot more. So ask yourself, even before Scrum, you already have 35 meetings. When you add Scrum, it becomes more. So is it Scrum problem? Think about that, okay? Think about that. Now, let's move on. So the very first thing I would like to share here is the purpose of the events, okay? So Scrum actually have 5 events. The most common one that we know of are the 4 things that we call it the 4 meetings. Number one is sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retro. These are the 4 common ones. But we forgot to miss out that the whole container, which is the sprint itself, is an event also. So one thing I would like to share with everyone here is that all these 5 Scrum events are time box. This is the criteria of event they have in Scrum. Okay, the criteria of Scrum event that everything is time box. Okay, and it has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. So let's talk about the very first one, which is the sprint itself, the container of all of the other 4 activities. Okay, so when we are using Scrum, okay, not about Scrum only, everything that we do when we talk about agility, right? We are actually doing experimentation. We are doing experiment. Okay, we are actually trying to validate our assumptions. Okay, we try to validate our assumptions because we are making assumptions, but how do we know whether our assumptions correct or not? We do experimentation, and that is the school of thought of empiricism. Okay, so Scrum is based on empiricism. So you need to do experimentation. Now, what the Scrum says here is that in every sprint, you are actually doing experimentation. I give you an example. When you develop a piece of functionality in a software, you are actually trying to prove that having this functionality doesn't, it's going to work, it's going to be successful, it's going to increase my customer retention, it's going to increase my revenue, it's going to reduce my production issues, for example. So all of these are experimentation. So you try to add something new into the system to achieve this objective. So that's called experimentation. Now, however, when you say experimentation, you are actually taking a risk, okay? Because every experimentation is actually bring a risk. That's why you need to limit your experimentation. You need to limit the experimentation. That's the purpose, that's the primary purpose of having a sprint. That's the reason why the sprint has a maximum period of 1 month. You need to limit your risk. Imagine when you're experimenting, you are actually bring risk. So your sprint is a risk container. If you're taking risk, might as well just do that risk, spend money within that 1 month only. So after the 1 month, let's say you do sprint review and then it doesn't successful, you can terminate the project. That's it, finish. We couldn't achieve our goal, we couldn't achieve our business goal for 1 month. Let's terminate the project. Let's not continue doing so. Okay, so that's the whole idea of sprint. It doesn't mean that you have to continue next sprint. So in the sprint review, you can bring in your sponsor, your project sponsor. You can bring in your stakeholders to make decision together. Hey, we are not able to make it. This seems like not working. Okay, no, let's terminate it. Don't wait until next month. Okay. So what it tries to say here is that we ask ourselves, right? When you run a sprint, the longer your sprint, it means the braver you are to take risks, the braver you are to lose money. Remember, you're paying people salary every day. Okay, although you're paying in a monthly basis, but the expenses are actually calculated by day. Okay, so the longer your sprint, it means the bigger risk that you're taking, because you are allowing yourself to keep experimenting within longer period of time. Okay, so this is very important to take note. The purpose of having a sprint itself is to contain the risk, so that when you lose money, when there is a sunken cost, at least you can stop the sunken cost within one sprint. Okay. Now, the daily scrum, the next one. The daily scrum is actually one of the event that is very, very important, but the most one of the most neglected event in Scrum. Okay. Almost many teams I've approached, they say, I don't want to do daily scrum. In the beginning, they like to do daily scrum, but after a while, they don't want to do it. They say that, oh, it's too much, very long. Wow, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, very long. I cannot take it. It's okay for the first 1 week, I can do it every day, meeting 30 to 45 minutes, it's okay. But now I cannot take it. It's too much, too much. So they say I cannot do it. So now, but why we need to have a daily scrum? Okay, why we need to have a daily scrum? So the principle of daily scrum here is that Scrum believes, okay, the framework believes, or the people who practice Scrum believes, the Scrum Master, the team member, the sponsor, the management, everyone, the organization believes that in every 24 hours, there is always a problem. Okay? There is always a problem, or there is always a new risk happening. I'll give you an example. In your team, you only have one tester. Nobody knows he falls sick today. Nobody knows. But if you don't have daily scrum, you won't know that your tester falls sick, because you don't get together. You just work on your own way of things. You do your own stuff. You don't know that, hey, your tester is not attending the daily scrum. She's not there. So you don't know, right? So your tester falls sick and she's the only one. And then another possibility is that the person who's supposed to approve your paperwork to release into production, is on vacation. You happen to know only today. He was there yesterday, but you didn't know that he's on long vacation. He's on block leave somewhere. block leave. Block leave. You cannot do anything. You cannot even contact him. You cannot call him. You cannot call her. She has to switch off the phone, right? You don't know, right? It happens within 24 hours. Suddenly, a hacker penetrates your system. You don't know. It's a huge production issue. If you work in a bank, hacker managed to get into access to your core banking system, you are doomed. That's it. You're doomed. Your user changed her mind. Okay. Yesterday she was okay. She said, "Oh, yesterday I'm good. I like this. I like this requirement yesterday. You talked to her yesterday. Oh yeah, this is good. This is good. I like this prototype. I like the screen. This I like." Suddenly she went to sleep. She get new idea when she was sleeping. Say, wow. Then in the morning she told you, "No, I want to change my mind. I don't like this requirement. I want to change it." So all of this can happen every 2 hours, 24 hours, right? So what Daily Scrum does is that bring everyone together because everyone has this information. So for example, I am the tester. Okay. I told my manager, "Hey, I can't come today because I fall sick." So my manager went into the daily scrum and tell everyone that Fadli is not coming. He falls sick today. And then someone say, "Hey, I also have a bad news. We have a production issue last night." So everyone come together and reveal all of these problems. Okay. Reveal these problems. Okay, this is very important. The whole idea of daily scrum is not status updates. Okay, unfortunately, many people think of daily scrum as status updates. Come on, please. If you are using Jira, you don't have to go to daily scrum just to know the status updates. Go and look in Jira. You can check Jira before the meeting or after the meeting. You don't have to go for status updates. That's the purpose of a tool, a platform. It's supposed to give you the status. You don't talk about status in the daily scrum. You talk about problems. Okay. So you only have 15 minutes. Do I have to come up with solutions in that 15 minutes? No. You don't have to come up. If you come up with solutions, you won't be able to finish it within 15 minutes. So what is the purpose actually of this 15 minutes of daily scrum? Number one, be aware of new risks or problems. Okay. Being open. Okay. Being open. So Scrum, when you Scrum properly, we are encouraging you to share about problem. You don't sweep it under the floor. You don't hide it under the carpet. You don't hide it under the carpet. Just be open. Tell everyone, "Well, we have this problem." Okay. And then number two, speak up, which is the courageous, right? The courageous. So you're being courageous to speak up. You don't hide any problem, similar to number one. Okay. So you practice transparency, number one, and number two, you practice speak up. Okay. You don't tell your friend, "Hey, for example, Nupur, can you tell the manager, yeah, that we have this problem? Yeah, I'm afraid to say it actually. Nupur, can you talk on my behalf?" You don't say like that. Just speak up. Okay, voice out the problems. And then number three, reality check on the sprint goal. Okay, the very first question we need to ask ourselves: are we on track to achieve the sprint goal? Do you have a sprint goal? Many teams, they don't have a sprint goal. Their sprint goal is to finish everything in the sprint backlog. That's not a goal. That's a laundry list. That's not a goal. That's a laundry list. A goal is something focused, right? So I need to check, what is your sprint goal? Are we on track to achieve the goal? Example of a goal. Okay. My current sprint, in this sprint, I'm going to increase my number of user registration from 50 to 200 because I implemented social media integration into the login screen. Okay, to increase number of registration, increase number of self-registration from 50 to 200 because we have social media integration now. So that's a sprint goal. It's not like, okay, I need to do SIT, I need to do UAT, I need to complete feature X, I need to complete feature Y. No, it's not like that. What is your business goal? That's the sprint goal. So ask yourself, are we on track to achieve this at the end of the sprint? And then number 4, right? You practice this thing called respect. You let other finishes their sentences. Listen to them. Don't interrupt them. Let them finish their sentences. Respect. This is very, very important. And number 5, because this is daily, okay? This is daily. You are disciplined. We teach you how to be disciplined. When you use Scrum properly, we teach you how to be disciplined because you are meeting every day at the same time. You are meeting every day at the same time. It's the same like if any one of you are practicing martial arts. Anyone here is practicing martial arts? Okay, I don't know if anyone practicing martial arts. You can put in the chat box. If you practice martial arts, right, you have to wake up very early in the morning. When I did that last time, I have to wake up very early, 5 a.m. And I have to start running. I have to start my movements at 5 a.m. And initially it was very tough because I have to do it early in the morning. I have to do it every day. But after a while, it becomes a habit. Okay? So it builds this thing called commitment because you are committing of doing it every day. So all of these things are Scrum values. And you might be wondering, in the 5 events, right? The only event, okay, that has the name Scrum as part of that event is only Daily Scrum. Because the whole Daily Scrum is actually simulating this thing called the little Scrum is simulating the big Scrum. If you notice my picture here on the bottom right, you see this 24-hour is the little Scrum. This is your daily Scrum. And then your actual big Scrum is the 30 days. So if you want to know how good your Scrum, your actual Scrum, look at your daily Scrum. If your daily Scrum is a mess up, I can guarantee you your Scrum is mess up also. Okay? Remember, this is about building the Scrum values. You need to practice the Scrum values. Change your behavior every day. If you do this every day, your Scrum is getting better and better and better. Okay, this is daily Scrum. So this is the purpose of daily Scrum. To build the Scrum values, practice the Scrum values every day. Okay, and then you do this every day, hoping that the whole one sprint in the big Scrum is getting better, and the next sprint you're getting better and better and better and better. Okay, so that's why they call it little Scrum or the daily Scrum. Now, this is the interesting part. The interesting part here is actually the sprint planning and review. Okay, I'm going to speed up a bit here. Now, imagine yourself, okay, when you are using Scrum, you are actually trying to imagine yourself with your customers. Your customer is a passenger, so you're trying to drive your passengers into a very dark tunnel. Okay, remember, a sprint is for you to do experimentation. When you say the word experimentation to your users, your customers, they will say, oh, hold on. You say that to your management, they say, oh, hold on. Are you going to try to experiment with my money here? Hey, be careful, man. You're trying to experiment here. Yeah, I don't trust you. See the word here. I don't trust you. So this is the same thing when you try to drive into a dark tunnel. Wow, I don't trust. I don't know what's inside the tunnel. I don't know what you're going to do inside the sprint. I don't know, right? I don't know. So I'm afraid what you're going to do. So it's the same. This is the same experience with your users, with your management about the sprint. Your team don't feel the same because they're familiar with that. But the people outside of your team, your management, your customers, your stakeholders, your sponsor, they feel that they're actually entering a tunnel. They're afraid. This could be their experience within your sprint. Okay, they don't know about that. So what you need to, so this is actually how it looks like, right? So when you enter the sprint, imagine like a dark tunnel. So the entrance is called the planning session. So you start with planning, right? After that, you execute the plan, right? And then you exit the tunnel by reviewing how was it. Okay, so imagine yourself, right? So before you enter the dark tunnel, you share your driving plan to your passengers, your customers, your users. You tell them, all right, Mr. Passenger, dear sirs and dear uh, passengers, we are going to enter a dark tunnel now. So don't worry about that. We are going to drive on the left side. We are not going to drive on the right side. We are going to drive on the left side. We are going to turn on the lights at the cabin so you don't feel afraid. We also prepare some entertainment for you. You can watch the movies while we are entering the tunnel, etc., etc. So you try to share your plan, how you're going to enter the tunnel. You share your plan, how you're going to enter the tunnel, because they're afraid. Okay, they're afraid what you're going to do about their money. Okay, if you're talking about your users. When you talk about passengers, they're afraid that whether what you're doing is going to mess up with their existing product. Okay, you have to tell them your plans. That's the purpose of entering the tunnel. That's the purpose of planning. Now, when you exit the tunnel, you ask for feedback. You ask the passengers, all right, everyone, dear passengers, we have exiting the tunnel. I hope you had a good, enjoyable experience with us. And we are going to exit the tunnel now. So in case you have any feedback about how's my driving look like, is my driving good? Is it, are you enjoying your entertainment? Is there any feedback you would like us to improve? Let us know. That is the purpose of review. Getting feedback, not from the team, but from people outside of the team. Okay, let me repeat. Getting feedback, not from people of the team, but outside of the team. Unfortunately, many teams doing sprint review is getting feedback from the people inside the team, especially the PO. You are doing demo to the PO. The PO say, why do you need to demo to me? I've seen the product every day. You don't have to do that. You can invite the people outside of your team, show them the product. Okay, that's the purpose of review. Show them the product, get their feedback. The first outcome you want to achieve from these two activities, the first one is to calm them down. Okay, you need to calm them down. You calm them down. Basically, you tell them, hey, don't worry, you are in good hands. Okay, you're in good hands. I'm a good driver. Okay, I'm a good driver. You're in good hands. Okay, don't worry. So this is the first outcome you need to achieve from this. The second
Hey,
outcome.
Petty, just a quick reminder, we have 2 minutes to close the session. I'm sorry.
Sure. Thank you so much. The second outcome is to be open, right? And then the third outcome is to attract them to be more collaborative. Okay, when you're being open, you're actually attracting them to be more collaborative. Remember, openness shows your vulnerability. Not everyone is willing to do that. Not everyone wants to be vulnerable. But once you do that, you're actually attracting them to come to your side and trust you. This is important. So the whole idea of these two activities is to build trust with the people outside of your team. Bear that in mind. Build trust with people outside of your team, not inside of your team, outside of your team. Okay, so retrospective basically is inside of your team. So I talk about improvements of the way of working, etc., etc. Okay, so it is okay to share your feelings, but let's not dwell on them. Okay, focus on how you can get better. Okay, so think about your current meetings. Okay, think about your current meetings now, like weekly status update, monthly status update, whatever it is, right? Think about them. Do you still need them? With the existing Scrum events, do you still need them? Can you replace them with existing Scrum event? Like one of my I told them that why do you need to have a user console meetings? You can have them, invite them into sprint review, right? So in summary, everything in Scrum needs to have a purpose. The Scrum event is to eliminate unnecessary meetings. The facilitators need to know what is the purpose of the Scrum event. If you don't know, you have to learn. Because if you're yourself as a facilitator of that event, you don't know, you're not convinced, then how can you convince others? It's impossible, right? You have to convince yourself first that this is important. And this is very, very important tips I also would like to share with everyone is that you need to increase your mastery in facilitation. You need to learn how to facilitate. Okay, it's not meeting, it's an event. It's different, yeah. It's a co-creation process. Scrum is not for everyone. So Scrum must be for complex project. I believe you know about that. In case you don't know, you can ask me in the question. I think it's good to open up for questions now. Maybe I can run it through the slides if you have any questions.
So, hi, thank you, Fedleaf. Thank you for an amazing presentation around Scrum meetings. It was a great session, but unfortunately, we are not left with any time for questions.